Dark side. Life has been joked.
I was speeding, and I should have stopped. Run the cop. Run the cop.
Clear, but there's still one car left on Gilman.
All I had was a laugh. Run the cop. Run the cop. I wasn't drinking. And they made me do tests. Run the cop. Run the cop. Sooner than you think, you'll be next. Run the cop. Ask a druggie for ID. Shot him 10 times, wallet in hand. Run the cop. Run the cop. A guy with one leg and a knife in hand. Shot dead as he hopped. Run the cop. Run the cop. When in Brunswick, don't even stop. Don't call the Brunswick cops unless you want to get shot. Run the cops. Run the cops. More time.
I'm Bruce.
This is harassment. Brunswick PD is harassing my girlfriend. They just arrested her, manhandled her. Yeah, you just detained my girlfriend for no reason, dude. And now he's gonna detain me. I can't be.
There's a Tillman video. Right? Entire case ruined. Fruit of the poisonous tree. They legally searched the car, everyone there. They did a search refusal. No, you can't search. Right? In the police report, it says they stopped at a local hotel known to sell drugs at a certain apartment. Right? Then they observed them go to the Rusty Lantern on Pleasant Street and do said drugs. Right? User levels. Those are the only busts we see. User levels in Brunswick. Right? Right? Typically, how did the mob operate? Through racketeering schemes, human trafficking, right? Right? The town of Brunswick runs a criminal cartel. Members of the town council all go to a certain businessman's meetings where they have gender-neutral parties. Drugs for all. Right? See, I know all these user-level people who tell me all these stories because I talk to the homeless, I interview them all, and when they're on a lot of drugs and stuff, I do a little prying with each one, right? Because I don't like it when people shoot up in the parking lot of the laundromat and pass away. That pisses me off, right? So the criminal cartel involving the Brunswick Police Department, the town council, certain members, not all, right? There are good ones on there, but even those ones are all part of the circle. It's the only way you get on and in, right? Right? We control the records. We control the police. We want the police to make us money. Right? Alex Dutton, arrested about 6 weeks ago by Nathan Day on Pleasant Street, 3:30, after leaving his lucrative job, was accosted by pirates, took him to the police station, searched his wallet, opens it up. You know what we have here? Just enough money for you to bond out. Cleaning his wallet completely out. Right? I'm not kidding. Ask him yourself. Right? For driving without a license. Right? So this came to a head when I observed the sheriffs not impounding vehicles. Right? I've heard this on the scanner. For 2 years I've been listening to Saginaw Sheriff since the encryption of Brunswick. Right? And lo and behold, I can't remember the last time they impounded a vehicle. Right? Huh. Why is that? Sheriffs are constitutional officers. They deputized me Friday night. Symbolic. Doesn't have any real power. Right? But just like the olden days, they recognize I operate under the Constitution. Right? I know I say right a lot. It's become a tick while I'm talking. So what I really wanted to cover, is the fact, the video at Taste of Maine, the guy had blown out holy muffler, was speeding, right? And had no license, right? So what's the difference between him and Alex Dutton, right? The Brunswick Police is the difference. A for-profit corporation protected by a for-profit cartel involved in all kinds of criminal activity, all under boards, secret, right? Tell the police, don't bust the drug dealers who are paying them 25%. Right? There's a certain someone in town that I need to talk to. And I aim to find her. Right? Because that's what exploded this information. They operate as a criminal crime syndicate to steal money from the people. Right? That's why I was getting way too close to the truth in 2023. Right? I was investigating them for quite some time. I had an informant come to me and explain that he knew an inside guy in the town office and all about the sex parties where they catered to the gay community, right? Their little lock and key brothel on Pleasant Street, right down from the PD. We got that shut down. Yeah, Triad owned, right? I kept watching for a delivery. Walked by several times late at night, hoping to hear the cries and whimpers of the locked up inside the building, right? The poor girls under lock and key in there, right? I think that they capture on Pleasant Street here, that's why they hang out here so much, is they're looking for the paper out-of-state tags, which is indicative of the human trafficking. Every single time it's either Texas or California. Those are the ones who traffic in people. The one that comes to mind the most, I failed to record, drove my square body Chevy truck to the Rusty Lantern down here, and there was a guy from Texas, paper tags, big cowboy hat on, and he had one mule with him, a Mexican guy, right? Surrounded by 7 Brunswick officers standing on a rock, and he was defying them, exercising his rights. I haven't done anything. We're leaving town. Let us go. Right? I failed to record. Wicked sad. I did an interview with the guy in the Texas hat. I talked to the Mexican guy in Rusty Lantern. How you doing? Really enjoyed the show. You telling the cops off. He was getting in their face, standing on that rock, screaming in every one of them's faces, "You got nothing on me, leave us alone." And they didn't. They didn't have nothing. And now there's a guy with a camera. Even though it wasn't rolling, they didn't know that. Right? These guys are involved in drug trafficking, human trafficking, right? Sex parties with drugs involving the town. Can I prove any of this? Nope. How many informants have told me this? 3 or 4. Is it fact? I can't prove it, but the way things operate, right? Clearly, when I was getting wind of it on their scanner that they weren't arresting certain people in town, right? They stopped these guys, and they I can't say too much about that one, other than they had lawful firearms, but had been committing crimes in town. 9mm. In 2024, after it was encrypted, Upper Main Street was shot up. Right? By a 9mm. They knew exactly who did the shooting. Nobody arrested. Right? I know who. I knew who was told. Yep. No big deal. Just bullets flying on Main Street. The other part of this is other groups are in other towns doing the same thing. Right? They have their little criminal cartels. Also with encrypted radio. right? Also with $400,000 armored cars that they never used for nothing. Huh. Right? Militarized police. Right? They had the stabbing in Topsom at the old folks home right by the graveyard, right just across the bridge in Topsom. And Officer Day was there, and I was recording 175 feet away from the building, and he had his AR-15 on the sidewalk and told me not to approach any closer. Right? There are people stabbed and murdered on the other side of the building. And it was a standoff with police. Right? You understand? A standoff. Knife versus AR-15. Right? So I was in mortal danger 375 feet away from the window where the guy was on the other side of the building who had the knife. Right? He was standing them off and yelling out the window, and they had to bust the door down and go inside and get him. So Day was standing on the sidewalk, told me not to come any closer, to get the hell back. Ridiculous. I really wanted to cover recently reposted the Justin Savage state police beating. Now, I've texted with him, came to an understanding about the evidence he received, like me, blacked out, edited, right? What parts were edited in the Justin Savage beating, right? They removed the audio, they took out parts of the picture, they blacked some of it out, some 7 minutes of the beginning, where he's defending his rights, right? They blacked out the part where the guy, the state police officer, slams him down into the ground and breaks his own ankle. And he says it to the other officers. I just broke my own ankle. Right? They blacked that all out because they were charging him with assaulting an officer, promoted the guy, right? But he's got a highfalutin liar that's just going to lay into these guys, and they had to produce unedited video that's up on YouTube. Look it up. Man beaten by state police in Maine. Justin Savage. Watch the whole video. You listen closely. The officer's saying it. That part wasn't in the original video that he got. That was edited all out so that they could continue to charge him with assaulting an officer. Right? Felony assault. You hurt the man. You broke his ankle. No, he didn't. He didn't do anything. Oh, I gotta go get a drink out of the back. You know, I'm gonna post the Tillman stuff again. I'm gonna repost a lot of the stuff that I talked about yesterday, so that you guys can all confirm that what I'm saying actually happened. The Courtney Mickles thing, that's gonna get reposted. The Justin Tillman, not Justin, I forget his first name now, Jacob Tillman video, right? Where he's assaulted from behind, face smashed into the ground, right? I showed up at that when the ambulance was there. You know, I didn't want to get out of bed, but when they said, we're searching now, and now they're fighting with us. Yeah, they're fighting to defend their rights, right? After Patrick Scott manhandled his girlfriend, right? Down the front and up the front. Yeah, that pissed me off too. I'd get my phone out and start recording. He's sitting on the curb as a passenger, hasn't done a damn thing, and he's assaulted by a road pirate behind him, right, who just got promoted, right? He's Sergeant Joshua Bernier now. Assaulted the guy. The phone goes skittering across the ground. He took a selfie of himself at the beginning trying to start the video, right? That was his face before. And then he's got pictures of his face after. Disgusting. I think there's a cop coming out of the station. No, went down Route 1. That one just went by and he's headed out Pleasant Street. Looking for any cars with a Texas or California tag, paper tag. They stop them every time they see Texas tag, California tag. Every one of them stop. Yeah. Those are the human trafficking places. What do they want, to recruit some new ones for their brothel somewhere? Their secret brothel on Jordan Ave? Oops. Didn't mean to say that. Yep, I know about it all. Been investigating you for 5 years. Criminal cartel. I'm exposing this. I'm exposing it all. You want to shut me down in federal court, treat me like shit, never let me set foot in court? I'm telling you, I'm going after you guys, the judge, all of these lawyers, lying lawyers. You modified the video. They did it themselves. The lawyer said so. Well, I download that on my laptop. There's no in-picture timestamp anymore. Bullshit. Right? Justin Savage video proves it. Right? Full, correct, with timestamp, everything. Right? The news has posted multiple WatchGuard camera system videos with correct in-picture timestamp, including catching the fucking emu. Right? That just happened a little bit ago. Still using some of them WatchGuard camera. The other ones have Motorola camera system. Right? That has a white taskbar and it's easy to fake. You can cut the top of the screen off and change the entire bottom of the picture and do whatever you want to manipulate it. WatchGuard has in-picture time stamp, GPS coordinates, who the driver is, direction of vehicle travel, whether the lights and siren are on. That's all in-picture timestamp information. Very hard to fake. Very, very, very hard. Right? And then the second video they gave me, because I complained there's no timestamp, had a fake timestamp. Right? The GPS coordinates never changed. The vehicles never moved. Right? The previous video shows them following Nathan Harley's truck. He runs over the curb twice in less than a half a mile. All over the road. Yep, he's shithoused. Yep, good bust. You got all that on camera. You made him do the sobriety test in front of the dashboard camera. Yeah, he's busted bigger than shit. Good job. I told Commander Paul that in our little interview. Done a fine job. You know, I applaud you. You know, I drive those streets at night. Every night. Right? Protect, serve. Not that they do any of that. Right? I don't know how you can look the other way when people are shooting up drugs and dying at the laundromat because they overdosed, dying on the streets, 2 and 3 a week. Sorry, a bus just came through. I was observing it. Yesterday, as I was leaving, a vehicle came the wrong way down Pleasant Street and turned right and went back onto Route 1 safely. Never hit anybody. Had the wrong way driver last night, wearing sunglasses, left Aroma Joe's in Bath, went all the way to New Meadows exit and exited the highway there, and the SAG sheriff lost him. Entered the jurisdiction of Brunswick. They don't like to go over there. Too many road pirates. Right? Alright, I'm going to cut my live off for a little bit. And I'm going to post a bunch of the things that I've been talking about. My other phone is charged to 39%. And I can post all the video from that. All the still pictures. As affirmation for what I said yesterday. Right? To expose all of their crimes. All their crimes that they're hiding as best they can now from me. For the purpose of stopping my free speech. My freedom of the press. They're defying my freedom of the press. In Colorado, they encrypted the radio and gave the news channels encrypted scanners so that they could listen in, because the news is allowed to hear it. Right? These are color code 7 encryption, military grade. Right? Right? This is a militarized police, body armor, AR-15s, armored car. I'm sure they have the nerve gas, sound weapon. Right? It used to be all stored at the armory. I believe it's stored now over at Public Works, over by the highway. They have multiple buildings over there, locked and secured. Multiple buildings. Somewhere over there is where the armored car is, I believe. Right? Militarized police. Right? The biggest indicator that they are the militarized police is you walk in the lobby and see for yourself how difficult it is to get a complaint form. Right? The first time I got a complaint, October 19th, 2020, I had to go in and speak with a lieutenant for 10 minutes explaining why I needed the complaint form. I'm going to take this home. I'm going to fill it out about the gun draw that I observed October 7th. Right? The police formed the Brunswick Police Review Committee. 4 members of the town council, 2 members of the police force, Scott Stewart, John Eldridge, formed the Police Review Committee to capture my complaint. They formed it the 20th, the day after I picked up the complaint and had to explain why I wanted the complaint form. Right? So you hear how the ball got rolling, how they set this all up. Right? So now, after they advertised and we're sitting there all smiling and laughing about it, you know, oh yeah, we investigate ourselves and then we investigate ourselves again just to make sure, Do you think they even get the fucking paperwork out the second time? Huh? Yeah, I'd like to bring them on camera. I'd like to do the handcuff thing. Right? You let me put them things on like you did my son-in-law. Right? So tight, his hands were blue, and he was only in cuffs for 8 minutes. Right? The Chili DeCastro video, that cop puts him on. He can stick any one of his fingers inside that cuff ring. It's not touching his wrist. When they handcuffed my wife last week, the cuffs were loose. I could see it. It still upset me that she had to go in handcuffs. Right? She was compliant. They didn't have to put her in cuffs. Nope. There we go. Coming back. Went and did some road pirating. I don't think he made any traffic stops. He probably went and sat for a few minutes. His shift's almost over. The 6 o'clock shift will end here soon. There's likely been just 2 cars patrolling. Right? Patrolling without a call for service. Hello. How you doing this morning? All right. Yeah, it's cold. You're okay? All right. You're not the guy that stays down by the river, are you? No. All right. Thank you. There's a little encampment behind us here, and I've spoken to the homeless guy twice now, and it was during traffic stops, and we didn't have a time where he could speak freely off camera. He has a bunch of things he wants to tell me, so I've been trying to hook up with him. I filmed them with the drone here, searching for him once. They got a really nice, like $5,000 military style drone. It's big as a suitcase. I think it's got 8 rotors on it. Funny story, 2023, at the hospital, there were 2 people observed shooting up drugs on the security camera at the hospital. This was before encryption. These were known criminals. They knew who they were. Description, female with long hair. It's a great story. I got still photos from this. And I believe there was video at Hannaford the next day where they stole another car. The car they were in was stolen. They foot bailed at Cook's Corner and ran into a wooded area behind there. So the cops got their drone out, and I sat out at the end of the road and just kind of filmed down the road. That's the Looking for Car Thieves video, 2023. I believe it's Bryce T. Toddler on YouTube. And probably I can post it since I'm telling the story about it. So Patrick Scott is trudging through the woods over there, getting directed by the drone to heat signature. And he's like, no, 11 feet to the right. And he trudges over there, and no, right in front of you, 6 feet in front of you. You don't see anything yet? I can see them. They're laying down in the grass right there. Right? Scott takes a couple more steps, and then he goes, "Oh, it's a big deer." A giant 10-point buck jumps up out of the grass and runs, and he goes, "There it goes, across the highway." Right across Route 1, jumped the fences. Beautiful buck, right? It's a big deer, and they thought it was the car thieves hunkered down in the bushes there. It was like June or July. It was warm out. So, I believe that they hoofed it down the railroad tracks and kept ducking in the woods when they heard the drone overhead or saw its lights. They were ducking and dodging the drone. And they came down the railroad tracks, which parallels the road, and they ended up coming out at Hannaford right down on Elm Street off of Main. There's a Hannaford store. And I go there, I think it was 9:30, 10-ish in the morning. And as I'm walking in, there's a couple, a woman with a red sweatshirt and shaggy hair, and they're making a beeline with their eyes, right? And I look over my shoulder, and there's a car with the windows down, keys in it, right? And they're making a beeline for it, right? And I'm like, huh. Man, they kind of match the description of the car thieves last night. So I walk into Hannaford, and I buy some groceries, and I swear they went right past me. I was standing right there on security camera, I'm sure. I'm sure the cops saw it and thought it was wicked funny. And I was giving them the eyeball like you wouldn't believe. I'm like, man, I almost said their names. I knew what their names were. I wish I had. You know? I was about to say Lisa or whatever her name was, and then whatever the dude's name was. I almost said their names. Right? So I go into Hannaford, buy a few groceries, and as I'm coming out, I think it was Andrew Fitzpatrick, pulled up in his police car, and he's interviewing a woman. And I get my phone out, and I start recording the interview with her. And I'm standing out of the way. I don't interfere with them. And I asked her what's going on. And she's like, someone stole my car. Guess what? That was them. And they got into her car and stole it. She's like, I went in there for 5 seconds and my car was gone. She left the keys in it. She's like, I know it was my fault. I left the keys in it. Dumb thing to do. No shit. Yeah, I was that close to the car thieves. And my instincts told me that's who it was. I should have said their names. You know, it haunts me a little bit, you know? But I'm sure that the cops got a real kick out of watching the security video of them stealing the car. And me going rubbernecking at them and shit. Oh, man. Oh, the humanity. All right, well, I'm gonna shut down and go and post some stuff. I'll see if I can at least post the pictures, or if not, the interview with the chick. I'm pretty sure that's a YouTube video on one of my 2 channels. I have 2 TikToks, 2 Facebooks, 2. All because they deleted everything, every one of my online pages, permanently banned on TikTok, and 874 followers. I was almost into making money. 600,000 views on TikTok. So I had some content that only existed on that TikTok channel. Music videos, Varapos, parts of my movie, tons of stuff. Man, I think that is the guy. He just didn't want to talk to me. Yeah, he's cold. He went and got a coffee. All right. Thanks for watching. I got Doug and somebody else. Probably the cops. Anyway, thanks. I appreciate it. I respect you, Doug. I like your comments. You play the devil's advocate once in a while, and I really enjoy that. I like a little bit of banter, but, you know, when people make it personal and call me a pedophile and shit like that, it's happened 5-6 times. At the gathering place, I shot a video, 2023. My daughter was in the truck. The cops were called on me twice. That is a public place, and the owner didn't want to tell me that the public was not invited. You look at the web page for the gathering place, and the public's invited. Now there are signs over there, no photography, all kinds of stuff like that. Private property, blah, blah, blah. But it's a named public street, Penny Way. You can look it up on Google Maps. Right? And they put a pedestrian walkway behind it, and they put a 10-foot privacy fence so that somebody couldn't walk with a camera and film all of the gathering place from their brand new pedestrian walkway. And that used to be like a homeless camp where that walkway is now. So now they got a path for people to walk on instead of camp on. All right, I'm going to cut off the live, and I'll post a bunch of stuff.